Hello, welcome to section 4. So now that we know how to apply the Bagua to our property, to our houses, to our rooms, now if we have those missing pieces we talked about, or we have areas from the assessment that we want to be enhancing and working with the flow of energy, we're going to start using the cures. So the 9 traditional cures in Feng Shui are, we're going to describe them, but first let's understand what a cure is. So a cure is just the traditional word for a fix or a change or a solution to shifting the chi or energy towards a more preferable outcome. So if people aren't comfortable with the word cure, we can talk about, the 9 traditional ways to enhance energy flow, the 9 traditional ways to enhance chi. So again, we don't want to get hung up and fixated and cemented to specific words. We want to make sure that we maintain that flexibility and openness. So when we're working with our clients, we're not making them feel uncomfortable. So for our purposes, that's how we define cure, and that's the word that we will use. So again, cures are remedies to alter, moderate, or enhance chi flow. We're wanting to change the vibe and the quality of chi in an area. So when we use these 9 basic cures, we're hoping to resolve imbalanced areas. We're hoping to enhance chi flow. We want to enhance the 8 Bagua areas and their corresponding life situations. So we're going to work our way through the 9 traditional cures. And like we've said throughout our learning so far, we don't need to implement all of these in all of our spaces, just where we feel like we need the enhancements. So we're looking at mirrors, lights, and crystals, all as number 1. Number 2, sounds. So we can talk about chimes, singing bowls, bells, music and tuning forks. Colors. So again, using the Bagua. In this presentation, we're going to really focus on red because it's such a powerful color. Living objects. So looking at plants, flowers, pets, and fish. We definitely have addressed some of these things already when we've talked about energy and when we've looked at the 5 elements. Moving objects, so mobiles, windmills, fountains. Weighted objects to help with grounding, so statues and stones. And where they may be located and the role that they're going to play as we're trying to get chi to maybe slow down. Electrically powered objects such as fans and clocks, an air conditioner, TVs, radios, anything that's plugged in is giving off an electromagnetic field. It is going to change the way that energy is moving. And then symbols. So a lot of times when we talk about using our intuition and intention, we hear a lot about bamboo flutes in Feng Shui, and there's a list of traditional cures or traditional symbols that we've included, and then others. And this is probably the most important of the whole list because these are things that are important to the individual or unique cures that are passed on orally. So one example that falls under other would be artwork, knickknacks, things that are really special and unique to the individual that you're working with. So we're going to spend a fair amount of time on mirrors and crystals because they have such an ability to do so many different things. When we look at how we can use mirrors in Feng Shui, mirrors do several things depending on the intention and the desired outcome we're going for. So mirrors can deflect unwanted things away. So if your neighbor's house is really close to you, you can put a mirror facing outward to push it away. Mirrors can draw things in or bring things closer through their reflection. Mirrors can complete a missing piece. So as we've looked at some of those floor plans that weren't complete. Mirrors double things. Think about like if you're in a dressing room and you've got mirrors on either side, all of a sudden there's a whole bunch of you standing in there. Mirrors can erase things if we put mirrors over something that we don't want to be seeing. Mirrors can be used as a water element to activate a space or to create a more yang condition. So if things are too yin in a space, we can add a mirror. What's in a mirror is energetically equal to the object it's reflecting. So we want to look around our living space and see, where do we have mirrors? What is it that we're reflecting? And it may or may not be helpful. So we're going to, within our checklist, we're creating look at mirrors, where they are in our spaces, and then decide if we like where they are. So we're going to go through some scenarios, talk about what might be happening, and then ways that we can use mirrors to clear things. So we said we could use mirrors when we want to deflect something negative away from you, or if you just want to create more space. So sometimes we'll refer to things as poison arrows. So like if something is a corner facing you, like there's that energy coming towards you. So in this case, the poison arrow, a building corner from another building that's outside your home or your office, but it's pointing directly at you inside your home or office. We could put a mirror to deflect that energy away. We also, if we have a circular driveway, would put a mirror. If there's a street that ends right at your lot, so all that energy coming from the street is coming right at you, we would put a mirror there to deflect that energy back. Could even put a concave mirror, or a convex mirror, excuse me, to send that energy back. If there's a cemetery, a funeral home, noisy neighbors, trash dumps or landfills, anything that's around your property that doesn't feel to you like it's enhancing your space, you can put mirrors to push those things away. So we see the cure placement, place a mirror. So it's often recommended at least a 6-inch mirror for small arrows, 12-inch mirrors, or even larger mirrors if you have them, between you and the thing you want to deflect. So you're going to place the mirror inside the window, or it can even be against a wall where the mirror is facing outside. Because again, things don't have to be seen to have an impact. When we intend that mirror to reflect the problem away, it gives us more space. It redirects the energy. In the case of a circular driveway or a T street, like we said, that ends up at your lot, a convex mirror placed outside in the landscape to redirect the energy away. And it doesn't have to be like a big obtrusive mirror where it's really obvious. You can get really beautiful decorated mirrors at outdoor garden stores that maybe have flowers, that have other things, that you know that mirror is there, but we never want our feng shui cures or placements of things to be like really obvious or like really in your face, because that really goes against our flow of harmony with nature. So another scenario for using mirrors would be if you have slanted ceilings. So if you spend a lot of time in a space where the ceiling slants down towards you, when it's like slanting down over your bed or your head at the office, you might be in a situation where the chi is like smashing down on you and disturbing your energies. Ideally, if you have a slanted ceiling, you would be at the highest part and other things would be down low, but sometimes depending upon the way the architecture of the space is, you might be at that downward spot. We're going to place a mirror face up with the intention that you're reflecting, that you're lifting the ceiling back up. So you would place the mirror between the top of your head and the ceiling so the energies are reflected away before they hit you. If you have a bedroom that's above a garage, because we store cars in the garage, that's okay, because that's a really common thing. But again, we want to use a mirror face down under the bed to just push the garage away with the intention that we're reflecting away or keeping away any toxic fumes or noises or energy, because we want our bedroom to be a quiet, safe, comfortable area. So that mirror would then face down. If we have a missing piece, so if the overall shape of your home isn't rectangle, like, or square, right, or the full shape, and it looks like it has a chip or a bite out of it, when you look at the shape from above, we have a missing piece in feng shui terms. So there's going to be a lot of ways that we can cure these missing pieces. But because we're talking about mirrors, here, the cure with using a mirror, if you completed one entire wall within the home that's creating that missing piece, you've energetically cured that situation by pushing out or erasing the missing wall. So again, like a floor mirror, pushing out from the two that then would make that square. Also, like we talked about, and we're going to see later, we could use red or we could use crystals or something outside. So if a mirror doesn't feel optimal in that instance, that's okay. But it's just nice to know that if somebody has extra mirrors and they're interested in using them in that capacity, it's between the wall and furniture, it works really well. Mirrors also work, so we can use it to complete a missing piece, but we can also double things in our home with mirrors. So one of the more common things that we see within homes is when we want to double our prosperity. So in Feng Shui, because we talked about like with the history from an agrarian society, looking at crops and food, because food meant wealth and prosperity, within our modern homes, our stove and our burners represent prosperity, wealth, and abundance. So if we put a mirror above the stove, so you have your burners and then a mirror here, that's reflecting back. So if you have 4 burners, you now have 8. So one quick and easy cure to gain more prosperity chi is to use the mirror somewhere near the stove to reflect the burners. If you have a regular 4 burner, like we just said, now you have 8. Additionally, a lot of people, their stoves are going to be facing, so you're looking into the wall when you're cooking. So now the whole kitchen is open behind you. This mirror that you place by your burners is now not only reflecting burners to have more, but it's also allowing you to see if somebody's coming behind you. When we talked about the 5 elements before, we said if we had fire in an area where we shouldn't, the fireplace could be detrimental. So if you have a fireplace in an area that may cause harm from the 5 element perspective, so like if you have a fireplace in your creativity and children gua or helpful people guas, it's recommended that we cure it. We can't obviously move our fireplace and we might really enjoy it in that area, but in order to put the fire out, so to speak, we could hang a large mirror over the fireplace with the intention of adding water to douse it, to put it out. Now, if you have a fireplace in your creativity and children or your helpful people gua, and those areas of your life are going great, you don't need to put a mirror there. But if you want to play with it, again, that's a really nice place to put a mirror. If you already have a large piece of artwork hanging over your fireplace, just put a mirror on the inside of that. So again, things don't have to be visible to have an effect. We might have mentioned this earlier. If you have a wall to avoid when walking through a doorway, or when you walk in your front door, we said, and there's a wall that can cut off your energy, or if you have to, seriously turn left or right because of that wall, we're going to want to cure that. So the way that we're going to do that is to hang a mirror large enough to capture your chest to about 6 inches above the head for everybody that lives in the house. So if somebody in the house is really short and somebody's really tall, we want to make sure that that mirror is going to cover everybody from chest to above their head. We're going to hang that immediately in line with the door with the intention of erasing that wall so that it feels like when we enter, we're entering into space. So those are all the ways that we can use mirrors. There's, of course, more. You can always use your intuition and be creative, but those are the most common situations where we're going to use mirrors. Another really popular feng shui cure are crystals. So when we start to think about crystals, we're not using earth crystals, but we're using glass lead crystals that we're going to be able to hang. They look beautiful. They come in different sizes, different colors. And they're going to have a lot of the same properties and ability to cure, a lot of the same things that mirrors did. But if somebody doesn't want to use a mirror, we can use a crystal. So crystals also will help to slow down and to dissipate chi, because as chi hits the crystal and all the facets, it's going to disperse it. So we're going to have a lot of places and locations to put crystals. Again, if we have that poison arrow situation, when we have really long hallways where the chi can just speed up, where there's a door in line with our bed or our desk. If we have a 2-story home and the stairs from the second level come right down, right at the base of the front door, if we have ceiling fans, if we have missing corners, like we saw with our properties or our houses, to complete a missing piece of a house or a building, to hang a yellow crystal for health and wellness. If we have light that's shining right on our bed, we want to disperse that. And if we need to get chi to go around corners. So these multifaceted crystals will help to disperse the chi. So if we have a poison arrow directed at us where we spend a lot of time. So again, a poison arrow could be when two walls meet and form a corner in a room. So there's a corner, but it's pointing towards you. The corner poking into the room. So we're not talking about, the 90-degree corners where the corner points away, but sometimes rooms will have corners in the middle of the room. If you have a corner that points across from your bed or your chair or your desk, we're going to want to hang a crystal. So the cure here is to hang the crystal from the ceiling directly in front of the corner in question. So they make crystals little 10 millimeters, 30 and 50. 50 millimeter crystals are really big. They're beautiful, but they're huge. Typically here, a 30 millimeter crystal will do the trick. If you have a really large room or an extra tall ceiling, you might want to use 40 or 50. So you can use your intuition in what you like as to what size crystal you need. If you don't see results, get a bigger one, but you can always start with a smaller one. And because, as we're going to learn, red is so powerful, if you want, you could hang the crystal from a red embroidery thread. So a lot of times when I hang crystals with clients, they'll just use little command hooks on their ceiling, because command hooks now come in so many different shapes and sizes. With little hooks, you won't even notice it and it won't damage the ceiling. If they don't want that red, you can use fishing line. And then you just have this beautiful crystal that looks really pretty in a room, but is also serving as a feng shui cure. When we have a lot of hallways with a lot of doors, we want to counter that speedy chi. So we want to hang some crystals. You can do one or a couple. You're going to hang a crystal from the ceiling somewhere in the hallway. So you can start it, approximate it into the center and see how it feels, and then adjust accordingly to slow down and disperse that chi. But we just don't want to have energy kind of flying down. And if we have a lot of doors, like in clinics, where maybe those doors are right across from each other, you could hang crystals in between those. So you might have a hallway with multiple crystals. And then you can adjust the height. So of course, nobody's hitting their head, but it looks really beautiful and it will slow down that chi. So kind of similar to that situation, if you have a door that's in line with your bed or your desk chair and you can't move your bed or your desk, but you want to slow down the chi, if you walk through the door and continued straight ahead, would you run into your bed or your chair? If so, we can put a crystal there. So we want to be thinking about that command position as we start to address that in the next couple of presentations. Sometimes we can move our furniture and it's going to make a world of difference. Sometimes we're not going to be able to move that furniture. So we're going to hang a crystal from the ceiling somewhere between the doorway and the bed or the chair, with, again, that intention of dispersing that chi around the room. So it's not just hitting us straight on directly. In a lot of houses that are 2 stories, the front door and the stairwell are often in line. So when the steps descend down towards you as you enter the front door, this seems to be a classic feng shui problem that a lot of people that only know a little bit about feng shui seem to know about. They know that you don't want the steps in the house to descend from that second floor and put you right in front of the front door, because then we're going to be losing a lot of energy. Now, if that's the way our house is built, it's okay. Again, we don't want to be like, I can't believe that's my house. We're just going to put a cure. We're going to hang a crystal from the ceiling between that bottom closest step and the front door, and we're dispersing the chi. If your front door and back door are in alignment, so a lot of times that'll be the same, or sometimes people's front door and a window are directly in a line. We want to hang a crystal between the two to disperse the straight line of chi created. So again, the crystal doesn't have to be hitting us in the head. And if it's a door window scenario, you can get really beautiful, even just stained glass that you can put on the window that's going to stop that chi. So it's a variation from the crystals, but very effective. If you have ceiling fans are considered little arrows spinning around. So a ceiling fan is like a vertical hallway of speedy chi. So again, we can hang crystals down from the ceiling fan. They look really pretty. It adds a little extra decoration to the room, and it'll be a cure for those blades, because obviously it's nice to have ceiling fans, but we want to cure it. We talked about a missing piece of a house using those mirrors to pushing out on the walls. If that's not practical, we can hang a crystal in the interior at the poison arrow corner, if you will, with the intention of completing that part of the home that's missing and to create a full bagua. We also could go outside and you could hang, we're going to talk about lights and other movement things as cures. You could put a shepherd's hook or something where that missing piece is, hang something from there, and that too will cure that missing piece. Crystals are great for health and wellness. So if you can't figure out what poor feng shui situation is happening, maybe in a house that's maybe harming somebody's health and wellness, they just don't have enough energy, they're not feeling good, put a crystal there. So oftentimes for these situations, a larger crystal is recommended. And you could even get a large yellow crystal if you wanted and hang it in that center area. If, depending upon how your bedroom is set up, windows are great in our bedroom and we definitely want natural light coming in. But if you have the situation where, depending upon how large the windows are and where the sun is hitting, if that sunlight is beaming directly onto your bed, if the bed's near a window, then we can hang a crystal in the window where the light comes in. It looks beautiful because the sun will catch it. It'll put rainbows all over your space, and it will slow it down from directly piercing the bed, if you will. When we want to be moving chi around corners, so the hallway turns and it goes, we can hang a crystal. So to get chi to go around corners, if you have a situation within your home or your office where there's a lot of jig-jags or a lot of little mini turns or major spins to get into a room, it's good to hang crystals to help move that energy into that space. So a lot of fun places to hang crystals. You definitely could overdo it, right? But crystals are so pretty that a lot of times people are really excited to have crystals hanging from their ceilings. They're excited to have them hanging in a mirror, in windows or by corners, because it just adds a little bit of peace and calmness. So crystals tend to be a cure that I carry with me when I go to consultations. I will have crystals with me so that if somebody wants, we can go ahead and implement them right away. I'll bring little command hooks so that we can just take care of it. So the crystals that we were talking about up to this point were lead or glass-based crystals. Here, as just a little side note, we know that earth crystals can also be really healing and helpful. And so if you're interested in learning more about those types of crystals, there are really amazing and beautiful water bottles that you can get that have crystals that are enclosed in a glass. So these crystals here are in a glass compartment that screws into this water bottle, and then the rest of the water bottle is here, so that when we put the water in it, those vibrational energies of those earth crystals will go through and infuse the water. So if you're interested in learning more about how crystals can impact our water and our lives and how our thoughts and our words, if you're not familiar with Dr. Emoto, I would encourage you to copy and paste this website or type it in to your search bar, because he did some really amazing studies with how our thoughts and words affect water crystallization, and we know that we're mostly made up of water. So even though our main focus here were Feng Shui crystals that we're using for cures, a lot of times clients will also ask about other types of gems and crystals. So it's nice to be able to send them to this resource. So I really hope that now, after listening about mirrors and crystals, thinking about Feng Shui cures overall, that you feel like you have an idea and some really good strategies to implement them. So I'm going to have you pause and just take into your body, integrate all of this information. And then when we start the next presentation, we're going to finish the 9 cures. And then after we finish all the 9 cures, I'll have you write a summary to post to the community. But at this point, I'd like you just to breathe, meditate, and reflect, no pun intended there, reflect on mirrors and crystals. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next presentation.